Welcome back to the LinkedIn Trust Series at Advertising Week New York. I have with me Kieley Taylor of Group M. Welcome.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about Group M and what you do.
Sure. So Group M is the world's largest media company. So one out of every $3 placed in media is through Group M. Where I sit in that organization is looking after all the paid social dollars.
Okay. So we're talking about trust and transparency. So to what extent do you think that we're living in a post-truth world?
I'm going to keep politics out of it today and stick with marketing. So I would say that it's not necessarily post-truth, but when we lived in a broadcast world, the advertiser had a lot of power in putting one message out there. If you think about how hard it would be to talk to your friends and your family and your loved ones to get book reviews of a book you're thinking about reading, it's been really challenging to understand every person's experience with what that truth is, whether or not it delivered upon their expectations. So I would say there's now a democratization of truth. There's a lot more opportunity for like-minded people to be connected and for ratings and reviews to really influence whether or not a purchase decision is going to be made. So it's no longer a truth that's controlled as tightly as maybe advertisers wish it was.
How do we, when we're talking about these ratings and reviews, and they are absolutely huge, how do we keep fraud away from that? Because, for example, and this is like a disgustingly blatant example, I was looking for a type of store the other day, and I honestly can't remember what it was, but I was looking for something near me. I'm in New York, and I need to find some stuff. And there's like 5-star reviews, and there's 2 reviews on this company's website, and it was by them. It actually had the company name as the person who reviewed it. Like, what are you thinking? I mean, how do we make sure that we're actually getting legitimate reviews?
Yeah, I think there are some arbitrators in that space. So the more that there can be authentication through third parties, I think we hear a lot about that in terms of non-human traffic or bot fraud. I think that will be another place because it's a connection point to a consumer and it's going to grow in relevance, that there's going to have to be some kind of accreditation or third party to help to keep those shenanigans to a minimum.
Right. So have customers become value maximizers?
I think so. I think it's had a lot of different names. Showrooming has been one of the first instances of value maximizing. A lot of the ability to open up multiple web browsers to understand where the best price is.
Guilty.
But as we don't want to all chase each other to the bottom from a commodity perspective in terms of pricing. So I think one of the things that brands can think about today is there a different value prop that you can give to the customer? Not just dollars back in their pocket, but maybe time back in their day. In the retail space, we've seen a lot in terms of having your order ready for you so that you can just drive to it, pick it up, make sure it's what you were looking for. Amazon's doing a great job with Prime. So those are some other value exchanges where it's time to do price comparison shopping. If they can make it that much easier or have a suggested purchase that saves you time in the long run, I think you'll start to see loyalty come around in a different type of value exchange.
And I think that trust factor also helps in that building of loyalty. The more you trust this retailer or this service, the more likely you are to just go straight there without shopping around. Is that right?
Exactly.
Right. One of the things that you just sort of hit on something that I love to talk about in some of my classes. I teach web design in college, and saving somebody time, showing them what they're looking for without frustrating them, without them having to search all over the place to find what they're looking for, is going to make life a little bit easier.
Yeah, and I think there's new surfaces to think about that in. So voice isn't quite here yet, but it is certainly on the rise. Visual search is very much on the rise. So to have that UX brain, how do you think about how someone will find you only using their voice or only using imagery? I think are things brands should start testing and learning and thinking about how best to maximize today.
So as far as trust goes, and since you are the global head of paid social, what are some of the key factors you're looking for in instilling that trust or earning that trust with your customers?
Sure. So I think listening to the voice of the customer is huge. Social, once upon a time, was that one-to-one relationship.
Right.
So if you're hearing feedback that's poor, it's not let's blast out more impressions. Maybe it's a little bit tighter of a linkage to R&D or to merchandising or whoever that guilty party might be. And then also having well-lit environments. I think you are the company that you keep, and if you have your advertising message live in a place that has context and relevance, it shows that there's a little bit more care and consideration that hopefully also extends into what your brand believes and stands for.
Well, Kieley, thank you so much for joining us on the LinkedIn Trust Series. It's good to have you.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more from Advertising Week New York.